Growing a bigger back is a crucial component of achieving a well-rounded and aesthetically pleasing physique. The back is one of the largest muscle groups in the body, so if you're lacking in this area, your overall appearance will suffer. In today's video, I will discuss 3 essential exercises that when incorporated into your training routine will help you achieve substantial progress in your back growth. Welcome back to another video. I'm Brendan Martinez. I'm currently getting my doctorate in physical therapy. Now before we jump into the 3 exercises, let's go over how our back is made up so we better understand how to train it. Your back is made up of a total of 20 muscle pairs. But in this video, we are going to discuss 3 of the biggest and most important muscles from a bodybuilding perspective. And those 3 muscles are the latissimus dorsi, your traps, and your rhomboids. All 3 exercises that we're going to cover in today's video will work these 3 muscles to some degree, but it's essential to have equal and developed growth throughout the entire back as a whole. And that leads me to the first exercise, which is going to be eccentric based pull-ups. Pull-ups are not only phenomenal for growing your back, but also will help enhance your core strength, improve your grip strength, and help you burn calories. But with this exercise, we're going to focus on a variation where we focus primarily on the eccentric component, which is also referred to as negatives. An eccentric contraction is when you are contracting a muscle as it lengthens, which in this exercise, this consists of the lowering phase where you return to the starting position. Studies have shown time and time again that chronically performed eccentric contractions promotes gain in strength, muscle mass, neural adaptations, and injury prevention. And the majority of microscopic muscle damage that's essential for building muscle occurs during this phase, which is why it's superior for building muscle. Plus, eccentric training allows for supramaximal training, which is when we perform an exercise with a resistance that's slightly higher than the given muscle can handle under normal conditions. And this is an essential concept, and it's going to be a staple in this exercise. Now, when we perform this exercise, we can do it one of 2 ways. The first way is to only perform the eccentric phase of the exercise. To start, we either need to bring a step or hop up onto the bar to the point where you normally would have completed a pull-up. Then you are going to try and lower yourself to the normal starting position as slow as you possibly can. And the second way is to perform both phases of the exercise, but the eccentric phase will make up the majority of it. So you will perform a normal pull-up, but once again, you want to lower yourself as slow as you can to the starting position. Now, I perform both of these variations, not on the same day, but I tend to alternate between the 2 of them. And where super maximal training really comes into play is with the first variation. If you cannot perform a pull-up with just your body weight, then performing the first variation is arguably the best thing you can do to achieve your first pull-up. But alternatively, if you're able to perform multiple reps of your body weight for pull-ups, now we need to add weight. And once again, it should realistically be slightly more than what you normally do for your working sets. And regardless of which variation you choose, I promise if you integrate this into your training routine, you're going to see significant improvements. Now let's jump into the second exercise, which is going to be barbell bent over rows. And this is probably of no shock to anyone that bent over rows made this list. Bent over rows are a staple in many individuals' training routines, as it should be. But just like every exercise, there are ways to optimize and get more out of the exercise. So let's jump into some things to avoid and ways we can maximize our results. Starting with what to avoid, the first thing is keeping your torso too upright. When this occurs, you will still be working your back, however the range of motion that's available is significantly lower, which ultimately will limit the results that you'll see. Be sure to have your torso as close to parallel with the ground as you're able to. The second common mistake is keeping your legs too straight. And this ties into the previous mistake, because if you keep your knees straight and you have really tight hamstrings, this will significantly limit the amount that your torso can actually lean forward. Bending your knees puts the hamstrings on slack and allows you to place your torso in the ideal position. And because of this, we're going to once again have more range of motion available, which is ultimately the goal. Implementing this exercise and avoiding these 2 mistakes will make the exercise much more efficient. And it's going to put you on the right track to finally growing a wider back. Now for the third exercise, we're going to talk about seated single arm rows. Single arm seated rows are a phenomenal exercise, mostly due to the degree of stretch that can be placed on the lats and back. And integrating unilateral training promotes equal growth and helps prevent muscular imbalances. Now let's go over how to properly perform and optimize this exercise. The first thing we want to do is completely stretch our arm and allow our shoulder to protract or slightly move forward. And because our lats are attached to the shoulder blade, this will place more stretch and ultimately more tension on it. Then as you row the weight, you want to supinate or turn your wrist up towards the ceiling. This will not only help the activation of your lats and back, but will work the biceps a little bit more, which is an added benefit to this rowing exercise. We then want to pause 1 to 2 seconds and slowly return to the starting position. And there's also an alternative way to perform this exercise, which is kneeling behind the bench. And this ultimately comes down to personal preference, but ultimately you want to choose whichever exercise you feel gives you the best contraction. But for me personally, I prefer the seated row. Now, if you consistently integrate these 3 exercises into your training routine, I have no doubt that you're going to start seeing significant improvements in your back size and width. And the next thing you need to do is learn the technique for growing wider biceps. And if you integrate the 3 tips I cover in this video here, I promise you, you're going to optimize your pull day and you're going to get so much more out of it.